Hey, what's up, everybody? Guess what? We made it to the end of the month, and you know what that means? We get back to business as usual. We all go back to work. Hold on one second. I'm in the middle of a cold open, okay? So just 1 second. I'm sorry, did you just say 30 more days of this? Oh my God, oh God. Virginia has to be in for how long? I know you're the messenger, but with all due respect, what the Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Early Late Night, the show you watch when you run out of things on Netflix. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Why don't we get straight to the monologue? Don't worry, I read the news, so you don't have to. Our top story. Donald Trump has extended federal guidelines that recommend people stay at home for another 30 days. Or, as a majority of Americans heard it, another 30 days of sweatpants. On Twitter this weekend, Donald Trump boasted about the daily ratings of his coronavirus press briefings. It's reminiscent of FDR's iconic speech. In fact, I believe we have a clip of it.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy, in which I bet, like, everyone is listening to this radio broadcast. Wow, I bet the ratings will be awesome. Anyway, who's ready to enter World War II?
Trump also bragged that his press conferences draw better ratings than The Bachelor, which is ironic considering that the most popular episodes are the ones where people get voted out of the house. A donut shop in Rochester is now selling donuts with Dr. Anthony Fauci's face on them. Unfortunately, the sprinkles must stay at least 6 feet apart. In an effort to reach new audiences, Joe Biden released the first episode of his brand new podcast, which begs the question, haven't we been through enough already? The last thing I need to hear is Joe Biden telling me about the benefits of Squarespace. He's also the only podcaster that will give you the wrong promo code for his sponsors.
Go to Joe 30330 and help me in this fight.
This is some nice news. An XFL linebacker is donating half of his salary to the coronavirus relief efforts. However, doctors say they've yet to figure out what to do with the other case of Bud Light. The International Olympic Committee has set the dates for the 2021 Summer Olympics. By then, all the Russian gymnasts will be 16 years old, which means they'll be aged out of competing for their country. And also likely killed. And finally, a group of Whole Foods workers will be going on strike this week, which unfortunately is going to downgrade the company to just partial foods. And that'll do it for our monologue. Let's do the walkover. So one of the best ways to fight the coronavirus is to wash your hands vigorously. And one of the recommendations they make is to sing the song Happy Birthday twice. Now, I don't know about you, but I definitely have gotten tired of singing Happy Birthday again and again and again. It just gets a little repetitive. Well, guess what? There's a channel dedicated to just hand washing, but with modern music. That's right, the makers of the channel Lo-Fi Hip Hop Beats have partnered with a number of celebrities to bring you a more clever way of washing your hands with a little bit of music to it. Check it out.
This thing right here is letting all the ladies know what guys talk about. You know, the finer things in life. Ooh, that dress so scandalous, and I swear I couldn't handle it when you're shaking that thing like who's the ish with a look in your eye so devilish. Oh, you like to dance to the hip-hop spots, and then you cruise to the cruise to connect the dots. Now I just been you like the pop, 'cause she was living la vida loca. She had dumps like a truck, thighs like what? Baby, move your butt, oh, I think I'm singing again. She had dumps like a truck, thighs like what? All night long, let me see that thong. I love it when your booty show. The thong.
Thank you very much, Sean Connery. When we return, we will have our guest, Aaron Michael Marsh. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a guest today who is a stand-up. He is also a fellow podcaster. He's a gentleman of the highest degree. I'm excited to talk with him about other things than the coronavirus. But more importantly, I want to get to this. Are you throwing up gang signs before we go any further?
I'm counting down my credits that you were giving, and then I was just one away from the Four Horsemen, so I just went Four Horsemen.
I appreciate that. Are you a pro wrestling fan?
Big time.
So you put up Four Horsemen. Do you like them better than DX?
No. The Four Horsemen was cool when my dad was my age. Like DX was
No.
how I told my dad to suck it. Are you kidding me? Like, I was able to do that that happened when I was like 15. There's not a better time for that to happen.
So what did your dad say when the first time you were like, hey, Dad, suck it?
My dad watched the show with me. So it wasn't a shocking thing, but we didn't walk around the house telling everyone to go suck it or nothing.
Sure.
Although we did enjoy it. It was like what bat flips are now. Like if we went out and played a little baseball and someone hit the ball, I'd be like, yeah, and then you like try to round the bases. I don't recall it being an actual like offensive thing until I went to high school. I mean, I was in high school, but one of the other kids told a teacher to suck it. And the teacher was like, what is this suck it? What? Why? How does this? Who taught you to say suck it? And then some girl in the class was like, oh, it's DX. It's a wrestling thing. And then like everybody started chiming in. They're like, yeah, it's Stone Cold's like this. And the teacher's like, no, none of that.
It's always great because these poor kids have the PG era now. And so every time I see them, talk about something edgy, I'm like, I mean, we had some jokes that flew by that I don't think would ever grace a standard yet. And at the same point, people are like, do you laugh at them? And be like, it was a different time, kids. You don't understand.
It was. Have you gone back and watched some of that?
Yes.
Oh, I do too. And, I got all the free time in the world. I'm rewatching all the old wrestling. Jerry Lawler said a lot of things that nobody can say now on the air.
Yeah. And given his past, there's a lot of dicey ground in terms of things being age appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he didn't care. Nothing. Age. He doesn't see numbers. He doesn't know numbers at all.
He doesn't. Can I ask this? This is the big thing in everybody's mind right now, and I want to get into your origins of you being a wrestling fan, but what is your thought? What make you of WrestleMania going on in an empty arena? Have you seen the wrestling shows? I mean, you have to. There's nothing else on. But have you seen it with no audience, and what does that feel like to you?
Yeah, I was hoping it was going to feel like those NWA Ric Flair promos where they're like in a small soundstage. But it's even less people than that. It feels weird. It feels hollow, and I don't think it's healthy for the wrestlers. I'm like so afraid that one of them is going to come up sick, and then all of them are going to come up sick. Like Roman Reigns actually stopped working because of it, because he, went through the cancer bout a couple years ago. So he's got an immune system that's not the best. And so, like, I don't know. Like, I don't like it. I think that they should postpone it because it's really sad to watch somebody's big moment happen in front of nobody.
Yeah.
Like
Drew's moment right now is got to be the harshest.
Yeah, I actually am rooting for Brock Lesnar in this one.
Interesting. Why is that?
I don't feel like I get Drew looks the part, and I know that he's been with the company forever in a couple stints. I don't feel like he's the top guy. He's not the guy that I want to see hold the belt over Brock, like, at the end of WrestleMania. That's not what I want out of this. I don't want that for him. I don't want that to end this WrestleMania. It was already going to feel a little forgettable, it being him. I mean,
what are your thoughts on it now being...
AJ.
What are your thoughts on it being a 2-night endeavor, though? Because one of the biggest criticisms of the company is that these events seem to be never ending, and yet now they're splitting into 2. And they told me the runtime on both of those, including the pre-shows, and I thought, oh, we're kind of cutting it in half, but just barely.
Wait a second. So, question. I don't know what the runtimes are. So, how long is it?
We're looking at, with the pre-shows, about an 8-hour endeavor split up between 2 nights.
I was expecting 3. And why the hell a pre-show? They're not waiting for people to get into their seats. We're all either watching or not.
I don't know. I think the pre-show is designed so that if you were driving somewhere, you had that buffer. Like you'd get, as a kid, you just go like, oh, we've got a little bit. I know that now, but I also think that they figure if you put it on Facebook for a little while, people remember, oh, yeah, I should tune into that. It's the lead-in program. And it happens with every other sport, so I kind of understand it from that perspective. But in the sense of, I don't know if you know this, but at any given point when people ask, what time is this show airing? And I was like, does it matter? you're home anyway, so shut up. Just watch it when it's on.
Yeah, exactly that. And also, you can always start from the beginning on the network. I thought they'd just be pushing for it to be free on the network, even if like you don't have a password, just to get as many viewers as they can.
Yeah,
of any kind. It's like, do they need to pay Charlie and Sam that much? Do they have to have a pre-show?
I mean, I look at it like this. As long as everybody's making money, that's fine. I've been, yesterday I watched an event where Chael Sonnen had a grappling event where he just sat in a room removed from the actual grappling, and he commentated it by himself. And it was weird, but it was like a good precursor to like, oh, right, this is what it's going to be like in a week and a half. And my favorite thing about this grappling event is you had these guys, full contact sport, but when they went to shake hands or bump fists at the very beginning, they didn't. And I'm like, they're still going to touch each other in like 2 seconds. What does that do?
Our sweaty chests rubbing against each other is not enough?
Well, they did pack them into like as many rash guard nonsense things as possible. So there was like a guy with like a rash guard and spats, and then he had like a tank top over it. And it looked like something out of Monsters, Inc., where these guys are just putting on layer of a layer.
I'm surprised when I'm making them dress like when the women went to Saudi Arabia and they just wore like a full suit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I was waiting for more of that. But I mean, there should be some good matches. I thought it was going to be 3 hours each night. I know that they always want to make it seem bigger and bigger. I actually think this is because they want to have less and less people coming into the building at once.
Yeah.
Just for everyone's
sake. They split it up so that they could have a certain, I guess, designated team recording it, because you got camera crew and that stuff adds up super quickly. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it's unprecedented.
I'm hoping they pre-record some of it so we can get some good angles. Like just give us something different we haven't seen before if you're going to have this.
Yeah, I agree, man. So let's ask this. Okay, obviously we got the wrestling fan side. I see 1,000 hats behind you.
Yeah.
They look like they are trophies from other people you have vanquished over the years. What are those hats and what are their significance?
Oh, I just seem to collect a lot of hats. I have like 60 hanging up around here, and I got some that aren't even up. But it's literally where I put my hats. I don't know. I have so many. I didn't know how to store them or put them in a place. And so an ex-girlfriend put them all on the wall once, and I was like, good idea. And so I'm 3 apartments removed from that girlfriend, but I'm still doing that idea. I think it looks good. I like seeing all the hats. It makes me happy. About 60% of them are the Chicago Cubs over and over and over again.
Let's talk about why you hate yourself then, because this Cubs attire, I understand it. I did the school. I did my time out in Illinois. My wife is from Illinois, so I understand this very well. What does it feel like right now? Because I saw a video of their announcer, and it was supposed to be upbeat and like make everybody feel good about how he would have announced them coming out on opening day. And instead, it just made me feel so sad watching
it's like a eulogy. It's like all of sports died in a plane crash, and so they're like, "This is what sports would have been like had we had professional athletes." It's all of sports is acting very sad about this, and I know that it's sad, but it's also the right thing, and they should be trying to make us feel good and uplifted that we're not there because we're doing the right thing.
Well, normally sports operates on a belief of, oh, don't worry, it's going to get better. Or it's going to get better by this date. Don't worry, when fall kicks in, we're all back. When we get football back, everything's great. Everybody's now sitting there going are we going to have a draft? If we don't have a draft, America's going to go down. If we don't have the NBA, what are we going to do? We've gotten by with things, but not where people prefer. What is it that you miss the most? What is the sport that you're missing the most? Is it baseball?
Well, I'll tell you, what I'm missing the most is the basketball playoffs is what I'm missing the most. Because nothing is cooler than watching a playoff series, and basketball only does their series during playoffs, and that's when basketball is at its most interesting. You're watching teams make long-term adjustments to these players and these matchups, so you're really watching them dismantle each other. So I miss that. But what I miss more than that is I miss having sports highlights every day. The only news that I get all day is the corona numbers. And it's just no. I would mix this up with being oh yeah, but at least I have 7 teams. one of them must have won today. You know, like I had something every day that was like a little positive.
Yeah. I would say this. You love the fact that you look at ESPN now and like Sports Center's like, we don't, who's got a favorite sports moment? Let's see if we got that on file somewhere. Do you guys want to draw sports? I'm going to draw a sport. That's what we're going to do. We're going to play Pictionary. Like that's how sad it's gotten right now. I would say this. For me, I love elements of sports, but I also like a chill that it is giving everybody because it's making everybody realize how not important sports can be at times. Like we love it. We love the fact that it gives us an escapism, but sometimes people create sports as more important than things in life. So I like that.
I do think sports is important. I don't think sports is the most important by any stretch of the imagination. It's just another TV show we watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, even when I see other people that are like fans of other teams that don't like my team, you're like, oh yeah, we watch the same program. We just root for different characters. It's the same thing. And sports is not all that important. I don't understand why Sports Center and ESPN, much like wrestling, feel like they need to put out new content right now. There's no new content. Play all of your sports documentaries.
Yeah.
There's other things, because the only thing we can do is look backwards. To look at the best stuff you have that looks backwards.
Yeah, I think the joke that we put sometime last week, or I gave it to one of my friends, was Tom Brady has signed with Tampa Bay, or at least what's left of them. And
yeah,
I thought about it, and like anytime they're talking about a trade, I'm like, we don't know what that means. We don't know. Like, why are we talking about this? Like, to me, we can do it in 2 weeks, like, or we can do it in a month. But the one thing
that
I will
stuff
say
seems to be fine. You know what? Let them trade. Give us something to talk about.
But I think the one thing that upsets me about the NBA is the NBA finals go on forever. So now this means that we're going to be in NBA finals till 2021. Like, that's how it's going to go now.
I'm curious to see when the public goes back out and sees the sun again. Are they just going to be like, let's just start the playoffs with where the standings are right now?
Nah.
Or do we play out the rest of those season's games? Like, what do we do? Because, like, college just called it off.
Yeah. Which is a bummer. But I would say this. I'm a huge fan of game show elements. So if they were to come in and have like essentially the voice chairs, and then every team gets to make their appeal. And if they get, Christina Aguilera turns around and she's like, Utah Jazz, you're back in. And it's like, yeah, okay. Like, if they do some weird Ninja Warrior obstacle course, I'm just saying, NBC, if you had these rights, this would be a no-brainer. Wipe out. That's what ABC should do. So let's ask this.
So Donovan Mitchell can run through the course and not get knocked over and you're in the playoffs.
I would 100% subscribe to that more than most NBA playoffs.
Oh, I would totally watch that. Also, completely unfair. It's not at all basketball related.
Aaron, let's ask this, dude. When did you start producing this podcast, and what was the reason behind starting to make a podcast?
So I was on the first 40 episodes. I was the co-host of Jeff Dye's Friendship. So I was on Jeff Dye's podcast. But it was an interesting mix being the co-host and being like, at what point do I jump in and jump out? How many questions do I realistically get to say? Or do I just do a little fluffer and buffer as it is? And so I was like, I would like to do my own. And so I saved up a little bit of money for a couple months, and then Christmas rolled around, and my girlfriend was like, all right, what do you need left? And she was like, boom, bought it. And she's like, all right, now go make your podcast.
That's pretty dope.
Which is why she's the first guest on the show. And my very first question to her was, hey, let's talk about that miscarriage we had. And so the first episode, we completely talk about our miscarriage.
I mean, I don't know.
I made it too. I can talk about it.
True.
She was fine talking about it.
How did you feel talking about that?
How would I feel? I mean, fine. It was a couple months removed from the scenario. It's a thing that people don't necessarily talk about, but it did take an emotional toll on the relationship and to her. To have all of those things chemically happen inside of you when you start to make a baby. And then when you lose baby and you go back to normal, then there's a depression for all that. And it's like, it's a thing that nobody really talks about. They talk about like further along sort of things, you know, like they would talk about it because it was a first trimester thing. So it was like, at no point was she showing. We weren't even allowed to tell people she was pregnant, although we went to a doctor. But it's a fascinating thing that we had to go through silently. And so it's like, no, let's talk about this and really understand where we're at with it.
How did she feel after doing it, though? Because, I mean, you said that you feel fine. Did she know that was going to be the question? It sounds like you just kind of hit her with it when you were just starting. And then how did she feel?
I kind of did, but she went with the flow immediately. And throughout the first episode, like 3 or 4 times, she goes, "This isn't going to get released anyways." And I was like, "No, this is honestly the first episode. We're honestly going to release it." And then afterwards, she's like, "You're not releasing it." And I was like, "Okay, fine." And then the next day, she's like, "Did you delete it?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Can I listen to it?" And she listened to it, and she laughed, and she liked it. And she goes, "You know what? You should release it." So the immediate response was no. But then the next day, the response was, "You know what? This is actually pretty good."
That's cool. That's really unique and good for you. I mean, we've seen this kind of thing happen with, you know, Marin, where he's shown us the way with podcasting and how it can be very real and serious. And at the same point, allow you to kind of talk through your feelings, which a lot of people wouldn't. So kudos to you, man.
Yeah, we also joked around about it a little bit. So it's also not like,
yeah.
It's like, yeah, this is a kind of traumatic thing that we went through for a little bit. It's not necessarily life altering, but it definitely, it's a lot of emotions going on, and it's fine to try to have fun with it after the fact.
That's awesome. So I imagine booking a second show after that is interesting.
I had to get a whole other person pregnant. It was terrible.
I'll tell you this much. I've never put that much effort into any of my bookings. I put a lot of effort into my bookings, but I don't think I purposely go, well, I need to knock somebody up now to top that one. As a result of that, though, what have you learned the most in doing the show? Like, what is the funnest part of it to you?
The funnest part to me on this is like the intense amount of engagement you get with it. To sit across the table from somebody and you guys are both staring at each other, and then we're going to have like this conversation and we don't necessarily know where it's going to go. You know, it's my job to save it if it comes to a slump, but it's not my job I'm not going to stop a thing from talking about it if it's happening and it's good. So I want to say, like, the lesson has been how to listen so intensely. I don't think I've ever listened this intensely my whole life, and I'm doing it now a couple times a week with people as they come in. And it's been really good and really fun. I try to keep all of them down to like a half hour, 20 minutes. And so, like, when people do find it, I find commonly people listen to 2 or 3 episodes at once.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love that. That like every guest, like someone comes in and listens to it because it's their friend, and they listen to a couple more, and they're like, "Oh, dude, it's just so easy to just jump into the next one and to the next one."
With that said, have you had to save an episode or 2?
Yeah, there's been a couple times I've had guests where you're just like, this isn't going so well, but I also know I'm going to cut it down to 20, 30 minutes, so I'll keep them in there for 60, and then try to cut down to 2 chunks, you know, or like that 15 minutes is good, that 15 minutes is good. We'll combine those 2 things.
Excellent.
Which has been my answer is like, it's almost like the Cameron Crowe answer, you know, just keep it rolling. We'll get something that we like.
Yeah, I prefer to usually just go live and do it there because I like to thrive off of the unknown. And the hardest part about thriving off the unknown is when you are live and it's not going great and you have a moment where you look at this and you go, okay, the inverse happens. So instead of cutting, now you've got to add more to make sure, like, you're like, all right, let's put 10 minutes on the end of this so that we get a chance to rescue them and that they get to feel what that feels like once they've been rescued. And at the end of it, they'll look at you and they'll be like, man, that felt so easy. And you're just like sitting there just like sweating a mess. And like, yeah, it was super easy for me too.
You were in the guest seat.
You know what I mean? But I always feel like if the guest doesn't look good, it's my fault. So I take a lot of a lot of burden on that. So I think that's the burden of being the host.
I feel like every guest has enjoyed it. Like almost, it's interesting because I feel like twice the guest has left, and I feel like I can feel them in their heart not necessarily like it as much as they wanted to.
Okay.
And then when it comes out, they'll send me, like both of them have sent me messages where they're just like, dude, I listened to it. It was actually really fun and funny. And I'm like, I didn't know what to think because I've done other podcasts that went way haywire, but this was actually really good. Not that I'm sitting here throwing everyone under the bus like I would my girlfriend, you know, like I'm not like, talk about your most crazy personal thing. But, you know.
I always like to leave enough breadcrumbs for those moments, just so people can know I am talking about them, but that I don't necessarily make them feel like shit. There's definitely like, I had to go through like old emails today, and I saw emails from an employer that I just did not like. And, you know, as I'm reading these things, I'm just sitting there and I've talked about this particular place on different podcasts. And I know this guy who worked there was like, dude, I love your shows. Those were amazing. And I was like, well, in about 3 months, I'm going to talk about you guys. So, you know.
And you're not going to love it.
I don't think you're going to like what I have to say. Because, you know, I mean, I don't want to be mean, but at the same point, I have a certain threshold of like, I'll tell because these things are true and I think they're funny. And that's how I'm going to work through the process of it. So, you know. So let's see, a couple months of doing that. Where do you envision taking the show? Like, do you have dream guests? Who do you want to book on there? Because what is the hook of the show?
So, I mean, it's called Putting Up with Aaron Michael Marsh. So I do have a couple little off the wall questions. They're not always as crazy as that other one. You know, that was really personal. But I do want the questions to be a little bit fun. You know, like when you go to the Reddit AMAs and it's just like, would you rather fight 100 size like ducks? You know, like. Or, you know, like 100 ducks the size of a horse or one horse the size of a duck, like all those sort of things. So I can throw like some of that stuff in. Or like my cousin Melissa, I just kind of gave her the 2-4 about loving murder so much. She loves all those murder mystery things. Yeah. And she says it's because she wants the victims to get their day in the sun. And I was like, name one of the victims. I'll wait. You know, like it's just like that kind of thing. So that's kind of like my little hook of it. The dream guest, I would love to get the Micro Machine guy. I think he's has an absolutely, completely unique career. What a talent he has that no one has really come through since to do the same thing. And so it's just like, how did you figure out how to make a career at a thing that no one else has figured out before or since you?
I think
you know, like this.
Only people I can tell this to, but for a while. And it's my own, maybe, I don't know, racism or just being a stupid kid. But I thought that dude and Mean Gene Okerlund were the same person when I was a child. Like, to me, I looked at them and I go, they serve the same purpose. They just kind of like are these weird, eccentric dudes that you don't dislike and you think are cool, but that they have a weird outside the track kind of talent.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, because I will watch wrestling videos and because I do like Michael Jackson, they actually suggest on almost every video I watch that I watch the Micro Machines guy recite Michael Jackson's Bad in 20 seconds. And I've never taken the bait. As much as I'm like,
what?
I've watched it.
You don't have the 20 seconds?
No.
You have the 20 seconds.
No, because it's not just the 20 seconds.
Guy?
You know what it is? It's not just the 20 seconds. It's the whole like, hey, here's the Micro Machine guy. Because, you know, in the 80s, they would just buffer for like 90 minutes before they got to the actual bit. And they'd be like, Micro Machines guy, so yeah, you went down the street today. Oh, yeah, I went down the street. It was a very, very good day, and I really enjoyed it. Oh, great. Look at that.
Yeah,
That's such a great skill. And then at the end of it, they're just like, well, we know that you're here to do, you like Michael Jackson, don't you? And to me, a late night guy, I just sit there going, oh, shit, no. Just do the 20-second clip. I don't want to watch anymore.
That's the point of the comment. Somebody in the comments goes, you guys are all here for a moment, 3 minutes, 20 seconds in, and you go right to that point, and you watch the Micro Machine guy do his business, what he showed up to do, because he's the same way, I'm sure. He's like, fine, let's talk about it before you make me talk in my Micro Machine voice.
Well, it makes me laugh because there are certain artists that get older. So if you're like Stevie Nicks, I'm pretty sure you don't want to sit there being like, who wants to talk about rumors?
Cool. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I did cocaine. Yeah, we all slept together. That was fun. I got a new album. It's about gypsies or something or scarves. Don't you want to listen to it? And you go, yeah, okay. Tell me about Lindsey Buckingham, though. Was that cocaine good or did you not like it?
Yeah, and she's like, fuck that. But like that Micro Machine guy, I mean, it seems like I've watched a couple of things he's done. None of them have been quite the interviews I want them to be. But he seems to be really happy about talking about Micro Machines.
Is he still alive? Because I wonder that sometimes.
Yeah.
It makes me a little nervous. He's still good with us?
He's still alive, and he lives in Burbank.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So this can really happen.
This could really happen. I could take my equipment in one backpack and just go right up there, do it, bang it out wherever he wants to bang it out, and just come home.
I mean, you could really, really make that a mini-sode.
I've considered paying his rate. Where you're just like, you know what? What do you, for 20 minutes? What is it? $500? Let's do it.
You know, honestly, if you started a GoFundMe, I'd kick in a little bit for that. I would literally just be like, listen, dude, I want to see you live your dream. Here you go.
Well, yeah, it's also just like people, I think, people have kind of forgotten about him. But everybody, if I got that guy, would be like, wait, you really got the Micro Machine guy and now you're talking to him about stuff? Like, I think that causes a weird little fascination. Like, like my buddy Jeff Dye and I both really obsess over the San Diego chicken. But he was a guest on the podcast. We emailed him and he came up in costume because it's on tape. Apparently, he covers his face. You can't find his face anywhere. And so he came up from San Diego, pay a little bit of his rate. He dresses up as the chicken, sits in front of a microphone, and does a full interview in a chickeny voice, tells chicken jokes. It's great. Got to ask him if he eats chicken. He goes, hey, if you can't beat him, eat him. And you're like, I love this.
Man, you know what? Bless you. Bless your heart. Bless everything you're doing for America. I feel like everybody's going to waste their time when they can all leave their houses. But you, sir, you sound like you're going to make the most of your life. Like when it comes down in like 40, 50, 60 years, whenever your time's through on this earth, when someone's asking you, they're going to be like, did you live a good life? And you're going to go, I got that Micro Machines guy, didn't I?
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you ask Mark Summers how my life was? They're like, what?
Wait, hold on. Did you get Mark Summers?
No, I haven't got Mark Summers. Eliza got Mark Summers on her podcast. I listened to that. But it's like, those are the kinds of weird little celebrity things I want to talk to. Like that kind of...
I get you.
What happened to those wild and crazy kids? Like, let's find out.
Just round them up. Yeah. Oh man, this is opening up so many avenues. Well, okay, Aaron, I want to start circling third here. What have you been doing to stay sane, man? I know you said you were watching a lot of wrestling, but
lot of it.
Obviously, the Corona thing is a thing. So, what have you been doing to keep good standing or to make sure that you are good?
So, because I'm such an avid wrestling fan, in this time period, I probably follow about 15 or 20 more wrestlers than I normally follow on Instagram.
Okay.
Because all of them are going live with home workouts.
It's true.
And so every day I'm like working out with a different person on live. So you're just like, oh, that's great. Here we go.
Who has the best
I would
workout,
suggest
though?
right now, Dead Boy Fitness is Becky and Seth's group with a guy named Joshy G. Awesome.
Yeah?
They
What makes theirs the best?
They are coming from the understanding that the average wrestling fan is overweight. And so they're not trying to make us look like them as much as they're trying to be like, oh, no, these are things, you don't need weights. You guys just need to clear off enough space over here. This is what a good burpee is. And we're going to do 10 burpees with you. And they're sitting there and they're talking to you on the thing. And then they're like, even do the breaks, like, hey, if you guys need a water, we're going to sit here, wait 30 seconds. And it just seems like a good little workout, and it's fun. And it's fun because it's like, those are my celebrities.
Yeah. Now you mention it, I just found out that USA has The Biggest Loser. I would love to see them co-host that show now that you mention it. I think they'd be great at that.
They're great. They're both funny.
I'm going to pitch that over to NBC when I get back. Okay. Let's discuss this. I've been asking people, what is the best advice that you can get to get through this nonsense that we are going through? What if you were had somebody listening, what is the best thing people could be doing?
find a new hobby. Find something else that you always kind of looked at from afar, but haven't actually done. Because if you wanted to do some stupid origami, we can get you stupid paper and you got all the stupid time. What do you want to do when you're looking at your computer when your boss is not in the room? Let's look at that a little bit. You know, like I always look at like weird instruments and people playing like video game songs and stuff. So I'm like, fine, I'll play video games on my guitar. I'll learn the Legend of Zelda theme song. Why not? Who's going to stop me now?
Great.
I would say the thing to really worry about is, you know, like, is just sitting all day.
Yeah.
And now that we like, when you're sitting all day, you want to snack all day. And that's where you're going to find your problems.
Yeah. That's some good advice there. All right. I'm going to give you an opportunity. Plug your shit. What do you got going on, man?
So I got Putting Up with Aaron Michael Marsh. It's coming out every Tuesday. So the new episode drops in like 3 hours.
Oh,
We had
shit.
Jeff Dye on last week. We have Paul Demo coming on next week. We did an America Says game show episode, and we talk about that in thorough. I have one show that's not canceled. So if I probably will be May 28th. If you're in Sacramento, I'm at the Punchline. Or maybe not. We'll find out. If it's canceled, it's canceled.
Okay.
And then I'm at Aaron M. Marsh on everything. So you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, so you can see like my tweets, my semi-nudes, my selfie quarantine.
Is
Whatever.
that for your OnlyFans account, though?
Everyone's a fan of my book. You
Oh.
can follow my Venmo at Aaron M. Marsh. I respond to every Venmo I get.
Now, Aaron, I got to be honest with you. I'm closing out the interview with this question, and
Okay.
there's going to be a lot of value in how I judge you on this.
Oh, good. I like that.
You're a professional wrestler. What is your finishing move and why?
Well, I'm going to be honest. It's going to come from the top rope because I'm going to want to get that good view of the audience and point at everybody to get them really going nuts. And I do want to have like a chant, you know, like we all know this was the best.
Yeah, yeah.
Even when I didn't like The Rock because I was such a stone cold mark, but when you would take that elbow down, oh, for sure, every time. So I would want something where I go on the top rope, give a little toot, and then just probably something simple because I want to be able to do it when I'm old. So maybe just a little frog splash or, yeah, maybe a little frog splash.
Classic. I can get behind that. The hard part is a good frog splash is difficult to pull off. The high degree of difficulty, you know, and not everybody's a Rob Van Dam or an Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero being
Oh, of
the
course.
ultimate standard, of course.
Yeah. Oh, my boy D'Lo. I love D'Lo Brown.
Absolutely.
He crushed it with the frog splash.
Well, you know, I got to say that answer is satisfactory. I'm
Okay.
not going to tell you what you get graded on air. Maybe I'll tell you off air. We'll see.
Oh, okay.
But Aaron, you know, here's the thing, man. I've been saying this to everybody we've been talking to. It's been so great to be able to just see some of the people that I haven't seen in a while. And I've been seeing you continue to do great things. And once I saw you were doing the podcast, I was like, well, now you're part of our little brethren of group that make podcasts, which is
I want to have you on mine.
Oh,
Although I give a gift to everybody who comes on my podcast. So it's hard to do that when I'm over the thing. Everybody who comes on gets a Funko Mystery Mini. So I don't know what exactly I'm getting them. But they've been pretty good so far.
I don't give my guests gifts. This makes me feel entirely not sufficient enough as a host.
I've never been on a show that actually gave me a gift. But I love these stupid things and I don't want to keep them. So I give them to other people to have them open it on air so I get everything I want out of it. And including part of what I want out of it is that it leaves my house.
That's fair. That's actually a really good way. You're like the anti hoarder. So that's actually a good policy. I'm a fan of it. Well, kudos to you, Aaron. I would love to be on your show. We'll go ahead and
Thank you.
coordinate
Love to have
that.
you.
But I will tell you this right now. It is so good to see you again. I'm glad you're doing good things. Obviously, I hope that you get through this on the other side. When you do,
Of course, me too.
you'll be producing even better material than you were, I'm sure, during that. But thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give it up. Aaron Michael Marsh.
Thank you, man.
I think that's going to do it for tonight. I don't really have a catchphrase yet, so why don't we just say this? My name's Rafa Sparza. Thanks for watching Early Late Night. Hope you make it to tomorrow. Nah, it's not a good one. How about, my name's Rafa Sparza. This is Early Late Night. Don't die. Yeah, that's not a good one either. Hey, my name's Rafa Sparza. Thank you for watching Early Late Night. Be safe. That one's not bad.